Good evening, Namaste, Jai Guru, my dear friends. Welcome to today's class on Jesus Christ, His life and His teachings. As always, let us begin the class with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, beloved Gurudev Paramhansa Yogananda ji, friend and guide Swami Kriyananda ji, saints and sages of all religions, humbly we bow at thy feet. O living Christ, in the body of Jesus and in all of us, manifest thyself in the essence of thy glory, in the strength of thy light, and in the perfect wisdom of thy intuitive presence. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let us now sing the hymn to Brahma and invoke the presence of the Gurus. Let's offer the flowers of our devotion at the feet of the Divine. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul. Let's just take a few moments of silence. And in this silence, let us correct a few things in our body and mind. Let's double inhale, tense the whole body, straighten the spine, double exhale, and let go of all useless thoughts, worries, anxieties, and fear. Then double inhale again. And as you inhale, feel that you're inhaling light and joy and wisdom. And double exhale to let go of all worries and anxieties and fears. And one last time, double inhale. Breathe in joy, love, laughter, and wisdom. Exhale out all negativity. Be centered in yourself. Keep your gaze uplifted. Be in a meditative mode so that we can receive more of God's teachings, His light and His grace through the portals of our consciousness. Only when our mind is relaxed can we truly drink of the nectar of the scriptures. Take few long deep breaths and come to this moment. Let us now hear a few thoughts on willpower by Swami Kriyananda ji. Willpower and not vague abstraction, luck, is the secret of true achievement. Willpower on subtle energy levels generates what only looks like luck by magnetically attracting to us opportunities. Our will is strengthened by removing from our minds the no-saying tendency, the obstruction of doubt, of laziness, and of fear. Willpower is developed by persevering to the conclusion of whatever one attempts. One should start first with little undertakings, then proceed to bigger ones. Infinite willpower comes from harnessing the little human will to God's infinite, all-powerful consciousness. Let us do the following affirmation, first loudly, then softly, and then mentally. My will is to do that which is right to do. Part all you mountains that stand in my way. Nothing can stop my progress. My will is to do that which is right to do. Part all you mountains that stand in my way. Nothing can stop my progress. My will is to do that which is right to do. Part all you mountains that stand in my way. Nothing can stop my progress. Mentally follow this prayer. O infinite power, I will use my will, but guide thou my will in everything I do, that it reflect thy will alone. Om, peace, amen. Let us continue to be in an interiorized state of consciousness as we now come to the story section of our class. And the story that we're going to read today is also about willpower. And not just about willpower, but also a surrender. So interestingly, it is seen that to do everything, we need a lot of willpower. And so to surrender ourselves completely also, we need a lot of willpower. So, when we are little children, our will is usually guided by the will of the parents, and we tend to do what our parents do. And it's kind of a mechanical will. But as we grow older and we start to take our own decisions, it is then our own will starts to come and have its play in our life. And it is then that the choices that we make actually start to change the direction of our life. And therefore, We must use our willpower wisely, in the sense that we must attune it to the power of the willpower of the Guru and the infinite will of our Heavenly Father. And then only we will find that there is a harmony, and there is, a synchronicity in our life. Because if we only want to do our will, then we might disturb the divine plan. And that's what Master said, that you don't even know why you're here on earth. Why do you want this and that? And you have so many attachments. Why don't you just do the will of the Father? And, that's where we need to attune our will with the cosmic will, so that we can just be harmonious with the cosmic plan and let the body and mind work out the karma that it has been born for. It there has been a purpose. It is a series of births, and this is part of that, and it will work out its usual karma. But we can free our mind by just surrendering that will at the feet of the Master, so that he can guide us and then keep us free. Okay, so the story is the story of the fisherman and the priest. In ancient India, in a village on the river Ganges, lived a man who caught and sold fish to the villagers. One of his customers was the village priest, a fellow almost as slippery as the fisherman's daily catch. The priest continuously charged the fish he bought, but he was always very difficult to find him when it was time to collect the bill. The unpaid debts of the priest eventually became very large, and the fisherman, after a long search, at last found and accosted the priest with this proposal. So let's just listen to the proposal that the fisherman has. He says, "Your Holiness, why do you avoid me? If you would only teach me a method of walking on the water, so that I can go freely to the places where there are large schools of fish, and there I will just net them very easily, and I will bring a large catch of fish for you. So I will present you a very large fish free of charge, and I will cancel all the debt that you have incurred." The disbelieving priest had only one thought: to get rid of the fisherman, who he thought must be crazy. So the priest whispered into the attentive ear of the faithful fisherman, "Son, all you have to do is to write 3 times on the surface of your palm the sacred word Om. Then you will be able to walk over the Ganges to whatever spot you wish to catch fish." Some days passed before the fisherman was again able to intercept the priest, who continually dodged the encounter. The fisherman finally succeeded, however, and proffered a large, choicest fish to the priest. And then he said, "I have been trying to get hold of you in order to give you some fish and cancel your debt to me. Everything came through your grace, as you said it would." Astonished, the skeptical priest looked at the large fish the fisherman was holding and cried, "How did you get such a fine big fish?" "Well, sir, I just did what you told me to do, and every day I have been catching a large number of fish." "Yes, Your Holiness, it was possible through your grace and the spiritual technique you gave me." Half credulous and half disbelieving, the priest said, "Well, sir, do show me how you walk on the water." Thereupon, the fisherman wrote the sacred word Om on the palm of each hand of the priest. Then casually, nonchalantly, in utmost divine faith, the fisherman took the priest by the hand and began to walk swiftly over the water of the holy Ganges. And lo, the priest was walking over the water also. But in a little while, the skeptical priest began to fear getting his clothes wet, and then came the thought of drowning. He began at once to sink and cried out, "Fisherman, I am drowning." "Well, Your Holiness, it appears you can't walk on the water and at the same time entertain a fear of getting your clothes drenched. Look at me. You taught me to walk on the water with complete faith. So saying, the fisherman led the trembling priest back to the shore and left him to meditate on the weakness of his faith. Then Master goes on to explain and give us the message. He says, Jesus said, if thou dost believe and say unto this mountain, go into the depths of the sea, it shall go. But do not expect the mountain to obey if you say it with a timid, unbelieving, squeaky voice. Oh, Mr. Mountain, will you please go into the depths of the sea? I don't really believe it is possible. I'm just saying because Jesus said this to say. Master says, miracles are simply the working of universal super laws. They can be performed ordinarily in a common way when one is acquainted with the scientific relation between matter and mind. Jesus walked on the waters and saved the skeptical drowning Peter. Do not try to work the more difficult laws until you have first mastered the workings of faith and willpower. Do not try to walk on water when your spiritual consciousness is relatively undeveloped. You will indeed get your clothes drenched. Develop your faith first by using it to solve small difficulties. In time, you will be able to open the Gordian knots of the most abstruse problems of life. If you are skeptical and nevertheless try to perform great miracles, you will be beset by failure and severe disappointment. But if you know the appropriate spiritual technique that puts into operation the divine law, and if you have absolute faith and abandonment to God, anything shall be possible unto you. Such a beautiful story. And Master also mentions the story of when Jesus was walking on water and then he saved Peter. So what happened in that story, I'll just link that story with this one, is that since Jesus was crowded by a lot of many people, so this is after he became famous and thousands of people would throng around him, they would just keep following him. And yet Jesus would find time for individual prayer, for his own prayer and meditation. So once after such a session with a large crowd, he told his disciples to go on the Sea of Galilee on a boat. And he said, I will catch up to you later. I will meet you later. So what happened was that all the apostles, they were on a boat and it was on the Sea of Galilee. And a storm started to rage in the sea. And the disciples who were not yet very, very strong in their faith, they started to talk amongst themselves about how difficult things were and so on. And in the midst of the storm, they saw that somebody was coming towards them and that somebody was walking on the water. And as that somebody was approaching, many of the disciples didn't realize that it was Jesus who was coming towards them walking on the water. And so when Jesus came near the boat, he had to actually tell his disciples, fear not, for it is I. So he had to tell them that it was him. And it was only then that the disciples realized that it was Jesus. And then they came to the observation that he was simply walking over the water. And they said, Master, you are Rabbi, you are walking on the water. So looking at Peter, Jesus said, even you can walk on water. Would you like to come? And he invited Peter to come down the boat and start to stand and walk on the water. And he held Peter's gaze. So as long as Peter was just looked into Jesus's eyes and he had that faith, he descended down from the boat and he too started to walk on the water towards Jesus. Now, in the meantime, this human consciousness, which is the memory of all the egoic things that we've done, and body consciousness just creeps in. And Peter was fearful. He said, I'm drowning. This thought that, I may drown. How come I'm walking on the water? It's not possible. And I'm going to drown and so on. That got into his mind and he started actually to drown. And in that moment, Jesus held his hand and he lifted him up again. And then both of them climbed up on the boat. And then once on the boat, Jesus literally commanded the storm to stop. And in that moment, the sea became absolutely still. So this is a very, very beautiful story. It is a call to our faith. And, sometimes if we relate this story to our own life, so what we can see is that when we are in the midst of trials, like our boat is rocking, we are in a part of life when everything appears to be stormy, and there are physical troubles, there may be financial troubles, emotional troubles, everything seems to be upset, nothing is going our way. So in a sense, we are on the sea and our boat is rocking in the storm. And then somebody walks towards us. So in the middle of that time, we may find a person, we may find a situation, or we may find a door or solution which is coming towards us, but we don't recognize it. Just like when Jesus was coming towards the disciples, they did not recognize that it was Jesus, and he had to actually say that, don't fear, it is I. So similarly, we are God's children. So when we are in the midst of trouble, actually some solution does come our way in the form of a person or a situation, but we don't realize that it is divine intervention that is coming to help us. And then just like Peter, if we do have faith, we do try to step into the storm and to try to face it. So we say, okay, now I'm going to do whatever it takes. And we start to do the right thing in the middle of that trial. And as long as we keep doing that with faith, everything starts to work out. But as soon as we have that doubt, I don't know if God is even looking at me, even if he's aware that I'm in so much trouble, if anybody is going to help me or not. The moment I have that thought, that very moment I start to have, failures come in that path. And I start to drown in the midst of my difficulty. And at least even if the difficulty is getting solved, but my anxiety, my fear, and my worries start to creep up. So all of that starts to happen, and I again start to sink down. That means the energy in my spine actually starts to go towards the lower chakra. So that is the actual meaning of drowning. But then Jesus is there to assure, he still is there to assure us. He still holds our hands. God still helps us and protects us. And he says, have faith. And he brings out his hand. And it is up to us again then to offer our hands and, our entire being to him, so that he can lift us out of that storm, and so that we can climb on the boat back together with God. So the truth is that we can climb back only with the help of God and with his grace. But all we need to do is to have the faith. And if we have the faith, and if we can surrender to the situation, and willpower here is also associated, as we said, it takes intense will to be able to fully surrender ourselves, to just let go of the ego and say, God, let thy will be done. And then once we can do that, we find that everything becomes harmonious, it becomes synchronous. Now, that does not mean that the tragedies of life stop to happen. Life is going to be what it is, with happy times and sad times. But our even-mindedness and cheerfulness, our calmness and our peace in the heart, that remains steady. And that is the sign of God's presence in our own heart, when we can be even-minded and cheerful, even in the midst of the crash of breaking worlds, as Master said. So having faith, I think Swamiji used to always say that it is the most common sense thing, and it is the most useful thing to have faith, because faith works. But then again, as Master said, it's not that you tell yourself today, okay, Jesus said you can walk on water, so from tomorrow I'll walk on water. He said first you have to build up that level of surrender and faith, where you can actually, your soul is embossed with the fact that God is definitely going to protect me. And remembering the last class, even when we know that God is going to fully protect us, we are not going to make silly mistakes. It's not that we are going to keep our common sense, our intelligence aside. We are going to use that, and we are not going to challenge God to prove himself to us. So it's a very, very fine balance of just surrendering to the feet of God, and then using all the instruments that we have been given of common sense, of intelligence, of energy, of will. All of that we use, and then we move our way. And we find that God is always with us and he's always supporting us. Okay, so coming to our story on Christ, and last time we discussed as how Jesus started picking up his disciples, and as he was crossing by near the river Jordan, John the Baptist was talking to two of his disciples, and he asked them to follow Jesus. And those two disciples were actually Saint John and Andrew. And then the next day, Andrew met his brother Simon, and both of them were fishermen. And then he told Simon that they had found the Messiah, and he brought Simon to meet Jesus. So till now he has already 3 disciples, that is John, Andrew, and Simon. And then the 3 of them, as they're going into the town, Jesus sees Philip, who's working in the midst of the city. He's doing his duties, and he just goes to Philip and he just looks at him and he says, "Follow me." And that point, Philip just leaves everything as it is and starts to follow Jesus. So Jesus has a few disciples by now. And the little master has gone in detail about the character of these 4 disciples so far. It says, in Andrew, Jesus found the receptivity to intuit the presence of Christ consciousness in the bodily vehicle of the master. In John the Beloved, Jesus saw the devotion that would hold this disciple steadfast and take him deep into the experience of the yogic science of God union that he would later record in the book of Revelation. So yes, the book of Genesis, the book of Revelation, St. John wrote a lot of books, and Jesus knew exactly the role of John that is going to happen. And in fact, it is John who took care of Mother Mary after the crucifixion of Jesus. We'll come to that in a later part of the story. In Simon Peter, Jesus discerned a divine strength on which to build the early foundation of his teachings, and predicted that the spiritual life of Simon would be as firm as a stone. So that Simon Peter actually did recognize the presence of the Christ in the body of Jesus. And again, as the story will unfold later, Simon Peter was also, after crucifixion of Jesus and after many years of spreading Christianity, Simon Peter was also crucified later. And of course, the story will unfold like that. In meeting Philip, Jesus, remembering their previous guru-disciple relationship, said to him without hesitation, "Follow me." So this is how Jesus had this connection with all of them. And last class, we discussed how important the guru-disciple relationship is. And let us not think that since Jesus handpicked his 11, 12 disciples, we are not handpicked. Now think of your own life, of what you were doing before you came on the path. And suddenly you will find that it was Master who decided to change the course of your life, to bring you back on this path, and to take you forward into spiritual evolution. Talking of my own personal story with Master, is the first book that I came across with Master is The Journey to Self-Realization. And I can now easily correlate that I was to continue on this journey to self-realization, which probably we have been for many lifetimes. And since it had to continue in this life, so when the time is ripe, the Master picks up the disciple. And this is true for all of us present here. And so was true for Lahiri Mahashay, who worked as an accountant, had a family life till the age of 33, or in the 33rd year, he was called by Babaji. So don't think that those disciples were only special and you are just any other lay person. No, each one of you is very special. Each one of you has been handpicked by the Master to take us forward on our journey of spiritual evolution till the time we are eternally free in God. So till then, we have to accept whatever comes our way as coming from Master. I feel it again and again. Nothing in our life happens which the Master does not know. In fact, it is presented to us by Master. And remembering Sister Gyanamata on this comment is that for 20 years, the sister who was she was in tune with Master, and yet she was bodily sick and she was bedridden at the end of her life. But Master said, what is 20 years of suffering as compared to eternal freedom in God? So let us remember this, that even if we have temporary suffering in this life, it is coming from the hand of the Master, and it is there to clear up whatever past karmic balance we have, and it is there to set us free eventually. If we accept all suffering in that bhav, in that essence, then we are going to be free right now. And even when we read Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, in that also Patanjali mentioned that pain should be accepted as purification. So whatever pain we have, whether it's emotional, physical, mental, all of that is to be, if we just accept it, if we would not just wish it away, the more pain is wishing that things were different than they are. So yes, there is pain. We know there is pain, but then if we keep wishing that, oh, it should have been different, then we're adding another pain to that. So if we do not mentally magnify our difficulties, and if we just accept and face our difficulties and say, Master is going to take care, then everything becomes easier, rather than, shunning it away or turning our face away from it. Say, I don't want to look at it. No, face it look it in the eyes. Says, okay, Master, I will do what I can do. The rest is entirely up to you. Okay. And as we talk of the guru-disciple relationship, in our context also, Master has given us a very important guideline. He said, sometimes vice comes in our life as a reasoning which appears to be right, as what appears to be virtuous, but is actually a vice. Vice means a negative quality. For example, in the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna is, he's discouraged, he doesn't want to fight the enemy because the enemy contains his own family members. So then what does he do? Not only does he keep his bow down, he starts to give Krishna wrong reasoning as to why he should not be fighting the war. And in fact, Krishna tells him that do not quote scripture to support your reasoning, because it is against dharma. So this is what happens. Sometimes we start to think we do not want to fight the battles. We just want to shirk away. And then we use the power of our reasoning to give us 10 reasons why we should not be doing the particular duty or responsibility or work that actually, if we do, we are going to be victorious in one way or the other. If we win the battle, then we become kings of this kingdom. Even if we lose the battle, but we keep fighting, then also Krishna said that it is a success and it is going to take you to heavenly spheres. So there is no loss on the spiritual path. And also here comes the importance of not relying on your own power of reasoning all the time. Whenever there is any confusion, whenever there is any doubt, it is good to consult your spiritual guides, your spiritual teachers, and all those who have enough developed intuition can pray directly to the Master and receive guidance from him. So I remember reading a story about one of Ananda members in Ananda village. And basically she was diagnosed with cancer. And she asked Master as to what she should do. And she was getting some guidance here and there, but she was not sure. So she directly prayed to Master, said, Master, you have to give to me in writing as to which doctor I should visit. And a couple of days later, actually, she doesn't know which friend of hers actually slid a slip of paper on which the name and address of the doctor that she was supposed to visit actually was slid under her door, and she received it there. So if you really pray with a lot of love and yearning, you will get the response that you seek. And in fact, sometimes in the way you seek it. Sometimes it may be in other ways, and therefore we need to keep our mind and heart open. But yet we can receive guidance in various ways. And Master is on our side. He loves us, he wants to protect us, and he wants to free us. Bodily suffering is only a fraction of who we really are. We are infinite bliss, and he wants us to transcend all this, the temporary sufferings of this world, to know and understand that we are that infinite bliss and nothing short of that. Okay. So, Master says, in the delusive state, the devotee may find that even the best intentioned of undertakings may nevertheless end in a disaster. For Satan, the universal metaphysical tempter, tries by every means to instigate faulty reason and unspiritual behavior in the virtuous devotee on the spiritual path. So again, he's warning us to be careful. Obedience to a true guru does not produce any spiritual blindness in the disciple. On the contrary, the guru wants the disciple to keep his eyes of reason open. And in addition, he helps to develop the single eye of intuition, where the disciple can eventually stand on his own 2 feet and make his own decisions. The God-sent guru has no selfish interest, only the highest interest of the disciple. A very important thing Master says is all of us need a mirror, a clean, flawless mirror in which we can actually see our mental qualities, where we stand in our emotional steadiness, where we stand in our spiritual evolution. But where in this world will you find such a mirror where you can actually gauge as to where you stand and where you need to go? So it is the guru actually who is that flawless mirror, who gives you that pure picture of who you are, and he does not judge you for it. So of course we know that we've had weird things in the past, and we still have some weird things in our subconscious mind, some habit patterns which go against our own will sometimes, and we have these idiosyncrasies in our personality. Everybody has. So, but the guru shows you the mirror. He shows you that these things are there. He never judges you. He only loves you and helps you to overcome all these shortcomings so that you may know that you are the purest infinite bliss. You are perfection itself. You are joy, love, and wisdom itself. In ways both open and subtle, the guru brings to the fore lessons to be learned that perhaps for incarnations have lain shelved in dusty corners of the consciousness. So here Guruji is clearly saying that the lessons that come in front of the devotee are actually presented to him by the Guru himself. And to this, Ramana Maharishi would say always that the Guru is both outside us and he is inside us. So on the outside, the Guru creates situations in our life that will force us to come inwards. And sitting in our own consciousness, he makes sure that we lift up our energy from the lower chakras to the higher chakras, and so that we can meet him here at the level of Christ consciousness. So Guru is designing and planning everything in your life. You just have to come in sync with that, attune yourself with Guru's will, and your own will becomes free and your life becomes easier, basically. Okay. And of course, we know that although people think that they are free just because they are doing what they want to do, but that doesn't mean that you're truly free. So any person who's saying that I can drink alcohol because it's my free choice, and that's it, this is free will, is going the wrong way. So true freedom lies in doing that which is right, and that which is right is much above the level of likes and dislikes. So usually people are caught up, even when they do any of the worldly duties, they are caught up in the fact whether they like doing a particular job or they don't like doing the particular job. And that is where they get caught up, and this is never truly free will. So the truth is that we must ask ourselves, not that if we like it or we don't like it, but what is the right thing to be done here? What is in sync with dharma? What is in sync with righteousness? And what is the highest demand of this situation from me in this moment of time? If we look at a situation from such an angle, then we shall be free, because we are trying to attune ourselves with the cosmic plan, and we are trying to do the best. So in that case, we will not accrue more karma. If we just keep following our likes and dislikes, then we will have more and more karma, and then all master's efforts to free us are going to, get wasted to some extent, and we do not want that. So again, it is up to us to completely surrender and take advantage of the guru's presence in our life and be free in this lifetime. And this should be our goal. We should not think of other lifetimes. We should not think too much in the future. We should say, I'm going to be free now. I am free now, and the guru is here to free me in this lifetime, and I'm going to give it my best shot. So do not be discouraged. Do not keep a lesser aim for yourself. Aim to be a Jivan Mukta in this lifetime, and it is very, very, very much possible. It is the master's promise. So we move on to the next discourse, and now we know that Jesus is already has 4 disciples, and now at the Gospel of John, it continues. It says, "Now Philip was of Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip findeth Nathanael and saith unto him, We have found him, of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." So now Philip goes to meet his friend Nathanael, and he is very excited, and he tells Nathanael that they have found the Messiah, the one that was prophesied by Moses and all the scriptures before Jesus came. We have met this person, and that he is Jesus from Nazareth, son of Joseph. So before we go on to the gospel, Master gives various explanations which is around this verse. So he says, prophecy does not mean that all happenings on earth, including earthly human affairs, are predestined. He says that does not mean that everything is predestined. All events that have happened in the past leave vibratory impressions in the ether, which sensitive people may sometimes tune in as mental images or visions. So how do masters, when a disciple approaches a self-realized master, the master can instantly see what the past karma of the disciple is? And that is because the master's consciousness is omnipresent, and time and space are no obstructions to it. And in that subtle awareness, he can see the impressions, the etheric impressions of all the deeds that the particular disciple has made. And therefore, the master knows the entire karma of every disciple. And that is so again, bring it to us. Our master, our guru knows our exact pattern of karmic energy that we have brought into this life. And he knows the exact solution, the exact energy pattern that we will need to open all the knots that we have tied ourselves into. So we have to trust, even when we are unable to see what is going to happen, the master knows everything. And just as the master can see into the past, he knows now, because he knows the past, he also knows that what karma is going to bring what reaction in the future, what action has what result. So he can also therefore predict the future of the disciple and can forewarn him about various things that should be done or should not be done, only if the disciple heeds the what the master is saying. So I was recently reading a book on Neem Karoli Baba, and that he clearly told one of his followers that he was basically a guard near the temple, and he told the guard not to go in a particular direction on a particular day. So most of the day that person remembered not to go in that direction, but somehow he forgot in between, his mind was restless, and he went in exactly the same direction that he was told not to go, and he met with an accident, and he was bedridden for 6 months. So Neem Karoli Baba already knew that this was going to be the fate. He forewarned the disciple, but the disciple was not so awake and alert about the predicament that he could, deeply follow what is going to happen. Another story about Neem Karoli Baba I'm remembering is, once he woke up all his disciples in the night, and he asked them to make whatever cereals, whatever grains there was in the ashram. He asked everybody to make rotis and to make sabji and to make, so the entire granary was finished, and all the devotees the whole night were preparing meals, and none of them knew why they were preparing meals. And the very next day, early in the morning, a truck and a bus probably met with an accident, and the entire road was blocked for the whole day. So traffic on both sides of the road was jammed. There were women, there were children, and all of them were actually fed by the ashram, and they stayed there in the ashram. So the great saints know, they can look into the future as to what is going to happen, because their consciousness is not only at the physical plane, it is at the astral and causal plane, and also it is beyond time and space. So similarly, Jesus is able to see everything, even now. So everything is happening in the now. If we are talking of Jesus Christ, he knows it, that we are talking of him. We are remembering him, and that we love him. So consider it true. All your thoughts at any point in time, they are registered in the ether. So be careful. Be careful about what you think. Be careful about what you desire. Be careful about what you are saying to others, or what you in your heart also, what you are feeling for others. Everything is registered in the ether. So that etheric presence is God's presence. So जैसे हम छोटे थे तो हमें कहा जाता था भगवान जी सब कुछ देख रहे हैं, और हमें समझ नहीं आता था कि भगवान जी हर जगह कैसे हो सकते हैं, हमें कैसे देख सकते हैं. But it is the truth. God is omnipresent. He is the formless, infinite intelligence which pervades every atom of the universe. And every thought you think is registered in that ether. And the great master can pick up that thought very easily, just like we pick up something from our books. He can pick up from a book of life, and he can just stand to correct you. In fact, if we talk about the readings of Bhrigu and Agastya, these are readings that were written 5,000 years ago. Now, again, these are great masters who knew what is the karma of those souls in the past. And since they can access the karma in the past, they know that all that karma, what kind of fruition will happen of that karma. And therefore, they can predict the future of all those souls after so many incarnations. And therefore, what appears to be magical or mystical to us is actually pure science, because they have transcended the realms of physicality and space and time, and all the information is already embedded in the ether. So whoever is one with God, it is said, becomes God. And so our master is also like that. And it would do us a lot of good if you would just surrender to that and accept everything. Just love him, do our best, and smile to yourself. I would say at the end of every day, just ask yourself, have I done the best that I could have done? And once you have that satisfaction in your heart, you do not need to think of what tomorrow is going to bring, because God is present, Guru is present in your life, and they will tell you what to do the next day. So don't be too anxious about the future. Just do your best in this moment, in this day, and let God do the rest and be free. Okay. Okay, so now Jesus has, we know that Philip has approached Nathanael and has told him that they have found the Messiah, who is Jesus of Nazareth. So now Nathanael is replying. He says in the gospel, and Nathanael said unto him, can there any good come from the city of Nazareth? Philip saith unto him, come and see. Jesus saw Nathanael coming to him, and saith of him, behold an Israelite indeed, in whom is no guile. Okay. So interestingly, Nathanael says, can anything good come of Nazareth? So usually we find that some cities and some states develop a reputation of being not so good. He says, ये तो बेकार जगह है. तो इसी तरह उस जमाने में नाजरत जो है वो बहुत एक हाई क्लास सिटी नहीं मानी जाती थी. And that's why it was Nathanael's expression as to, can anything good come from Nazareth? So, but then what did Philip say to him? He said, just come and see. So similarly to us, just come and feel. Whoever has doubts as to if my guru is really working with me or not, if he's present around me, just go deep into yourself and just test it. It's okay. It's okay to have constructive doubt, and yet go forth and just test it. So don't just say कि ये तो हो नहीं सकता. ऐसा कहने की बजाय, okay, let me find out. Have that open-mindedness and receptivity to at least challenge and at least ask the truth, seek the truth, and things will turn out in a good way. So Nathanael does come along with Philip, and as they are moving towards Jesus, Jesus is looking at Nathanael and he says, behold an Israelite indeed, in whom is no guile. So Jesus knows that Nathanael is a pure soul and that he is a guileless, simple person and is again a disciple from the past life. So he immediately welcomes Nathanael. Jesus gave Nathanael a soul-penetrating look, the vibration of which dispersed ages of ignorance, and like a shaft of light on a sensitive film, took an intuitive photograph of the disciple's life. So yes, Jesus again in a moment could just read the whole history and the presence of Nathanael. Pleased with what he saw, Jesus said, behold an Israelite indeed, in whom there is no guile. Behold a soul that is free from satanic insincerity. So now Nathanael has come towards Jesus, and Nathanael saith unto him, whence knowest me? Jesus answered and said unto him, before that Philip called thee, when thou wast under the fig tree, I saw thee. Nathanael answered and said unto him, Rabbi, thou art the Son of God, thou art the King of Israel. Okay, so when Nathanael hears Jesus comment on how he's an Israelite who is free from guile, Nathanael, it's a natural human question. So Nathanael asks Jesus, how do you know me? From where do you know me? Whence do you knoweth me? And Jesus says that, and Jesus is basically reminding Nathanael of an incident that happened before Philip had met Nathanael. So it was once Nathanael was sitting alone in under one of the fig trees, and he was, I've seen in some movie, he was probably writing some notes in a book and so on. And he was sitting under a tree and nobody else knew about it. But Jesus told him that before you had met Philip, you were sitting under this tree and I saw you. And at that moment, there is that vibratory connection of the guru and disciple. The disciple just know that this is my master and he knows my life. Just as when Paramhansa Yogananda ji saw Sri Yukteswar standing in that lane, having no prior contact in this lifetime, he just knew that this is my guru. And Sri Yukteswar just knew that this is my disciple. So similarly, in that moment that oneness happens and the memory of the past lifetimes is awakened, and then Nathanael says, O Rabbi, thou art the Son of God, thou art the King of Israel. So see, just recollects, and they just are one in that moment. And so another disciple is added to the apostles of Jesus. An interesting thing that Master says about this verse is, since Jesus says that you were sitting under a fig tree and I saw thee, is actually on a deeper metaphysical level. It means that our own spine and cerebrospinal, axis, they are actually like an inverted tree, just as it is given in the Bhagavad Gita. But the Bhagavad Gita talks of the human brain and spine being the inverted Ashwatha tree. Ashwatha tree is also the people tree or the fig tree. And here also Jesus mentions that he's sitting under the fig tree. So since Jesus is aware of all the happenings in the consciousness under the tree of life, which is in inside of everybody, the astral body of everybody, the subtle body of everybody. It is under that tree, intuitively he saw the purity of Nathanael's heart. So this has a metaphysical significance. And let us all remember here again the story of the wishing tree. So it is not only that the cerebrospinal axis and spine of Jesus are like that tree, it is true for all of us. And it is what is enlivening that tree is the cosmic energy, the energy coming directly from God. And it is actually a kalpataru. Kalpataru means a wishing tree, means whatever we may wish strongly, whatever we may hold dear and have deep desire is going to get fulfilled. And we must realize that. And therefore, we must again be very careful of what we are thinking, of what we are deciding, because it is going to come true. And how do we get free from this tree? Now, if this is a tree and if it is perpetually working, and if my thoughts are continuously working, then how do I break the cycle of not wanting to desire anything and the tree not granting me any fruit? There is only one way. And the Gita points out to that. The Gita points out and says that you can cut the trunk of the tree. Now, how do you cut the trunk of the tree? Is by stopping the flow of prana around it. So if we say that the Sushumna is the central part of the tree and the Ida and Pingala are around it, if by practice of pranayama, if by practice of Kriya Yoga, we can stop those currents from coming and going again and again. And what that will do is it will withdraw all the energy that is going towards the leaves of the tree, which are the sense organs and the objects of the senses. So it is by the means of pranayam alone that you can actually get over this, transcend the wish fulfilling tree. We do not have any wish but God. Let's affirm that today, that we do not desire anything but God. Then use the technique of pranayama to control the prana, to stop that movement in the spine, to withdraw all the current from the senses, and then we will transcend and be one in the light. And therefore, matching this with the Bhagavad Gita, and let's match it with the Mahabharata. We know that Duryodhan represents material desire. And in the story of Mahabharata, we know that Duryodhan was killed by Bhim. And Bhim represents the Anahat Chakra, and Bhim represents the ability of prana control. So it is only by prana control that you can kill material desire in this life or in any life. And that's the way Master has shown that we can free ourselves. So we are sitting under that tree of life. We are sitting under that wish fulfilling tree, and it will keep working for us till the prana is coming in and going out, and we have wishes and we have desires and we have our sense organs operational. It is going to continue forever. And continuation would mean we have to go through all the stages of life, as in the womb life again, to fulfill all desires. Then we have to go through that infancy, we have to go through youth, and then old age, then sickness, then death. So if we want to stop this cycle, then we have to come to the state of desirelessness. And to kill desire or Duryodhana, we have to use the power of pranayam, Kriya Yoga, meditation. And then we can rise above all desires and we can be free in God forever and forever. With that thought, my dear friends, we will end today's class. And we will share the vibrations, the blessings, and the grace that we have received with all souls who are in need of physical, mental, emotional needs. For all who are suffering in any way, may God be with them. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls. Oh, oh, oh. Divine Mother, beloved Lord Jesus, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.